Back to the Sanders supporter. Watch how she takes care of her. She keeps going.
It's not an easy process, and that's what the New York Times is trying to explain. That as much as we want it to be an easy process, it does have to go through the Fed. It does have to be passed through Congress. And these are an arcane, very complex set of laws that have to go through. And every economist says so, and that's what the New York Times polled. They said every economist says the same thing. So as much as we want to simplify it, economics is really tough. And Bernie Sanders acknowledges that. And guess what? Hillary Clinton isn't talking about that. She continues to go and accept money from high-dollar donors, do fundraisers like she did just last night, at $30,000 a plate. And she's not talking about breaking up the big banks, because that's what voters want. They want to make sure that they can survive. She's out there campaigning with Governor Cuomo, trying to take credit for the $15 minimum wage, while she's for the $12 minimum wage. She's not for the $15 minimum wage. She's not for Democratic values. She doesn't want universal health care. That's what Democrats want. So, she also insulted him and said he's not a Democrat. But when you look at the issues...
So, that woman just said a lot of stuff. She's not for what Democrats are for. Bernie's actually for what Democrats are for. The Democrats are for breaking up the banks. The Democrats are for universal health care. The Democrats are for a $15 minimum wage. Hillary's not for any of this stuff. And so this woman...
By the way, it's not just Democrats. It's a lot of Republicans,
too.
For those things.
Yeah, so she's bringing the truth to Carol Costello. Carol Costello, just her ability to ignore the truth on her own news show, I'm going to say unparalleled, because here's her next thing that she says. Here's what Carol...
Talk about that for a second, because that was my next question, because she has gone the attack. She says she doesn't really know what Bernie Sanders is. She says he may not be a real Democrat. So in your mind, is Bernie Sanders a real Democrat, or is he a socialist, or is he a Democratic socialist? Is he an independent socialist? What is he?
So here we are in April. Bernie Sanders has already won half the primaries. Carol Costello still unclear of what a socialist is, or a democratic socialist, or an independent. She's still not sure what. She's running the same newscast they ran in July of last year.
It wasn't a good newscast then.
She doesn't know anything. She hasn't learned a goddamn thing in 12 months. Carol Costello doesn't know anything about what Bernie Sanders' platform is. She doesn't know what a socialist is. She doesn't know what a democratic socialist is. She doesn't know what an independent is. And she doesn't know which one Bernie Sanders is, even though Bernie Sanders says over and over and over what he is. She's still, I don't know, what is he? Carol Costello, what is it? What is it with our news people like Chuck Todd and Carol Costello? It's like they're covering politics in another country, and then they drop them in here to do a TV show about our country, and they don't know what the frick is going on. They have no idea.
Politics for dummies. That's what they're doing. They are trying to get it down to the most reductive, simple things that they think anybody can understand. And in the case of Carol Costello, it's her who doesn't understand. I will even say Chuck Todd kind of knows what the hell he's talking about. He's just dumbing it down because his producers told him to. I think she just doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
That woman belongs in a Pepsi ad. She doesn't belong reading the news.
I agree, even though she has glasses.
And she keeps, giving that smug, pouty look to the camera.
Of course, she's condescending to the Bernie Sanders. She's... Okay, but, okay, blah, blah, blah. She said it. And she's not humiliated that she just went blah, blah. So the person you're interviewing is more informed than you are, the news host. She's able to articulate it better than you are, the news host. And your response is blah, blah, blah. All right, but he's not. What is he, a socialist or something? I don't get it. Did we just hire a high school dropout to come host the CNN News? Yep. Close. I think a dropout would do better. They'd be more curious about what's going on. Let's see what else.
Well, he's been very open about being a democratic socialist. And when you poll Democrats, they don't care if he's a socialist, a democratic socialist, or a Democrat. But if you want to get really specific here, he is a very valuable member of the Senate. And Democrats wouldn't win a lot of votes if it weren't for Bernie Sanders. So much so that Senator Chuck Schumer of New York has gone out and campaigned for Bernie Sanders. So much so that Bernie Sanders has gone out and campaigned for Democrats. And when you look at the issues that Democrats care about, the rhetoric matches his record. Hillary Clinton's rhetoric is not matching her record. Democrats want universal health care. They want quality and cheap, affordable college. They don't want Democrats to instinctively go to war. Those are things that Hillary Clinton does. When you look at the record, Hillary Clinton Clinton falls more in line with Republicans, including on abortion issues, which she is not completely, she has exceptions to, which leaves the states open to interpretation, which is where Republicans are winning. Her rhetoric is not matching a Democrat's record.
So she just pointed out it's Hillary who's really not the Democrat here. Bernie Sanders' policies actually line up with the Democrats and the Democratic voters much more than Hillary Clinton's policies. I'm sure Carol Costello is going to acknowledge that point.
So it's a cheap shot.
I have to leave it there.
I guess.
All right, evidently you're just going to say your nonsense.
I guess you're just going to have facts and accurate information. Don't you understand this is CNN? We're owned by Time Warner, the 7th largest contributor to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Do you really think any of that garbage that you just said is going to get any kind of respect over here? No. Blah, blah, blah. I'm Carol Costello. Blah, blah, blah.
And at no point does she acknowledge, like 8 years ago, the world sank.
Yes.
Like, talking about this stuff is still germane.
Yes. Blah, blah, blah.